So welcome guardians and the teachers, as you will be joining today on an webinar which will be explained by the National Education Policy 2020 will be explained by our Honourable Principal Sir, Mr. Arindam Chakrabarty. He will be coming here sharp at 1 p.m. and from 1 p.m. To 2 p.m. He will be explaining about the National Educational Policy. Hello.
Hello.
Link has gone to the app, you see. It will go. Just wait in the app. In your app, the link will go. Because already I can see some guardians are joining. One student. So today's program is actually it will start officially at sharp at 1 p.m. and Honourable Principal Sir will be talking with you regarding National Education Policy 2020. And you know our country, the nationwide, the different activities are going on to explain National Education Policy 2020 or 2020. And on this, from 1 p.m. today, from 1 p.m., Honourable Principal Sir will speak on this issue. You can ask some questions directly to Principal Sir. And this session is for the guardians and the teachers. And one request, when you will be in the session, please mute your the speaker. There is a speaker knob, you see, mute it. And if you have any question, that time you unmute your speaker. Otherwise, unnecessary noise will come here. তো আপনারা যখন ওয়েবিনারে জয়েন করবেন সেই সময় আপনাদের স্পিকারটা মিউট করা থাকলে ভালো হবে আর যখন আপনি প্রশ্ন করবেন তখন আনমিউট করে প্রশ্ন করবেন So I welcome once again the parents, our esteemed parents and the teachers who have already joined in this webinar, and Principal Sir will be speaking. It's 12:52, so sharp at 1 p.m. Principal Sir will be coming and will talk with you about the. Please mute your speaker. Mute your speaker, otherwise unnecessary noise will reach here. So when you will be listening to Principal Sir, that time please mute your speaker. If any question you can ask or anything you want to say, that time please unmute your speaker. So you can see our student, class 3 science student Jyotirmoy. He has written wonderfully National Education Policy 2020. Thank you, Jyotirmoy. As you all know, our school is running for 9, 10, 11 and 12. We are conducting classes, and in the school, the students are performing their practical works also. And practical works and activities are more important, as Principal Sir will be speaking about you in the National Education Policy. And Sir will show some slides. When Sir will speak, that time you will find on the board or on your screen some writings will come. So if you want to see, you can zoom in your mobile also. By zooming, you can read it. So please wait. It's 12:54. So 6 minutes more. After that, Principal Sir will be coming here to explain National Education Policy 2020, and along with the government of India, different states and the entire country is trying to gear up so that we can implement the National Educational Policy 2020 as quick as possible for the you can say development of our students, especially in the academic sector. And once again, I request you, when the sir will be speaking on this, that time your speaker should be in mute position. So if you want to ask anything, that time you have to unmute your speaker and you can ask question or say something. I hope I am visible to everyone. This webinar mainly for the parents and our teachers, the students. You are present. Yeah. Am I visible clearly?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Is Shona? Who is Shona? No.
No, sir, Rottur.
Oh, Rottur. Okay. Rottur, you are not coming to school? You are in class 9, I suppose, now? Rottur?
Yes, sir.
So why you are not coming to school?
Sir, actually I was not well.
Okay.
Sir, only board is visible, you are not visible, sir.
I am not visible?
But you are not in the frame of that.
Now?
Now you are in the frame.
Yeah, now
Now,
I am
sir,
visible.
now you are visible.
Okay, fine. Fine, so in my case, at 1 p.m. principal sir will be coming here to address you regarding this National Education Policy 2020. So I hope, what's the time, sir, now? So we are waiting for some more participants to join. So I welcome the guardians and the teachers who have already joined in this session. Now it's 12:56, so 4 minutes more for the program to start. So what is this presentation audio or it will come? So as I told you, हमने जो आप लोगों को बोला है, जो स्क्रीन में जब जो लिखा आएगा वो देखने के लिए आप जूम भी कर सकते हैं एंड जरूर आपका स्पीकर म्यूट कंडीशन में रहे, अदरवाइज नॉइज डिस्टर्बेंस होगा। আপনাদের স্পিকার যেন মিউট কন্ডিশনে থাকে, তাহলে পরে না হলে ডিস্টারবেন্স হতে পারে। আর স্ক্রিনের মধ্যে যে লেখাটা আসবে সেটাকে আপনারা আপনার মোবাইলে যদি দেখতে থাকেন সেটাকে আপনি জুম করে নিয়ে দেখতে পারেন কি বলছে। ন্যাশনাল এডুকেশন পলিসি একটা ভাস্ট পলিসি যার উপরে এখন সারা ভারতবর্ষ ধরে চর্চা চলছে। পুরো পলিসিকে একসাথে খুব তাড়াতাড়ি এক্সপ্লেইন করা খুব অসুবিধা, তাও অনারেবল প্রিন্সিপাল স্যার উনি চেষ্টা করবেন আপনাদের কাছে এই ন্যাশনাল এডুকেশন পলিসির মূল জিনিসগুলোকে উপস্থাপন করার। কারণ আমরা মনে করি যে বাচ্চাদের পড়াশোনার ব্যাপারটা এটা একটা ত্রিমুখী জিনিস, যেখানে শিক্ষক, গার্জিয়ান এবং টিচার স্টুডেন্টদের সঙ্গে ইনভলভ থাকতে হয়। For that reason, today there will be a webinar and where our honorable principal sir, Mr. Arindam Chakraborty, will be explaining some main points or few points of the national education policy. So, and once again I am mentioning that when sir will be explaining you on the screen, some writing, some diagrams will come. If you want to see them clearly, you can zoom in your mobile and see. But during that program, you must keep your speaker in mute condition. If you want to ask anything, then unmute the speaker, ask, then mute it again. So once again I am mentioning that this webinar is mainly for the parents and the teachers. But students, if you are at home and if you are interested, you may also join. There will be no harm, because you are the active elements in the national education policy. For you all only, this we are discussing about this policy. So almost a time, but still we will wait for 5 minutes more so that the more participants can join, and as sharp at 1:05 p.m., 5 minutes past 1, sir will begin. Please keep your speaker in the mute condition. So, welcome teachers and guardians once again on behalf of Royal Academy, Matigada. The webinar will begin now on National Education Policy 2020. It's a, that our Indian educationists, they make their plan for a long time. Then from the ideas of our great personalities of India like Mahatma Gandhi, Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore, and along with some idea of the foreign educationists, the national education policy is made, and now it's coming a new educational policy. In 2020, it launched, and very soon it will be implemented in our education system. And today in this webinar, Honorable Principal Sir, Mr. Arindam Chakravarti, will be speaking on few important points of the national education policy, and sir will begin sharp at 1:05. So please be with us and take part in this webinar to get some idea on the national education policy and how it will work in future in our schools for your words means the students. So as I told, we'll begin at 1:05. So I'm requesting Honorable Principal Sir to come on this dais, and please sir take the mic to begin this webinar. So within a minute, sir will be entering here to speak with you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all my dear parents and respected teachers who are the part and parcel of this National Education Policy 2020. Actually, it has been observed during the last 2 decades that education system need some changes. The changes, education is such a process that the change takes place at a very small rate. However, we begin with some of the key principles to make you understand what is the National Education Policy 2020. There were various policies started from 1968, after the independence in 1986, then in 1992, and after that a long period has passed. In between there was a scheme of continuous and comprehensive evaluation, CCE, and then comes in 2020 the National Education Policy. Now the vision of this policy is deeply enrooted in Indian ethos. That is, it always strives to provide quality education to compete the global world. The curriculum and the teaching techniques should be developed in such a way that we have a sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and Constitution of India. We have to develop a sense of pride and respect for the country, which is very important. So these are the key visions. Now the key principles on which just show on the screen. You can visualize the screen. You'll find the vision of the policy which I was saying. So develop an education system deeply rooted in Indian ethos. And the curriculum and the teaching techniques should bring a sense of respect for the fundamental duties and Constitution of India, and a sense of pride and respect for the country which is needed today. Okay, next. So the key principles, actually it is just encircling a holistic development of the child. A child comes up in a holistic manner, all-round manner, and education has to be customized. You have to understand, next page, key principles of NEP. Key principles, just see, you have to understand the diversity of our country. Today, India is one of the rarest country which has so many languages, so many culture, so many religion, so many traditions, so many practices in our country. So based on that, the education policy has been mapped. Now it includes the concept of customized education. I think I am audible. So what is customized? Let me explain you what is customized education. Customized education means education which is very much to the need and aspiration of the child, of the learner. So we develop such sort of will make the students learn and the learning outcomes to be more explicit. So it should be flexible. That means education is not somebody's own cup of tea. It has diverse approaches. So it should be flexible and more flexible. It should be multilinguistic today. Very important today, the mother tongue. We must be very much equipped to learn different things from mother tongue. So in this policy 2020, the concept of mother tongue has been very much focused. So wherever possible, instruction, especially at the foundational stage, it has been told that instruction to be given in the regional language, in the local language, as well as in mother tongue. So this concept, sustainable development, we have to think for the future. We have to think of the environment. So all this is there. Cultural sensitivity. Today it is the need of the hour that our children need to admire, need to respect the different culture in different corners of our country. It is indeed that education will teach them to bind together. Then the concept of national integration will come from this place. And to respect the diversity. I have to iterate the words of Rabindranath Tagore, that is unity in diversity. Today we will be united maintaining our diversity. The social fabric of our nation is very colorful. So there is no need to change the color of this variety. We have to admire and we have to start working towards a common goal. So today's national education, mainly there is a shift, big shift from the so-called rote memorization, that is just exam orientation, towards conceptual learning. This conceptual learning is very, very important. Conceptual learning, understanding rather than rote learning and for exam, learning for exam. No, learning for life. Unique capabilities. You must know Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, which says that every child is laden, is filled with immense potentiality. Everything is within us. A teacher, especially a parent, should understand that his child is unique. His child has shown aside, has something or the other good in him. So we have to consider that aspect also. He may have different skill, kinesthetic skill, language skill, mathematical skill, problem solving skill. So it teaches now, instead of rote memorization, critical thinking and creativity. We have to make learning related to life. We have to make learning experiment based. It should be more practical than theory. There should be continuous review based on sustained research. The researching should carry on from the foundational stage. Okay, now just next one. The stages. Stages, salient features of stages in school. Yeah. This is more important. So you see, salient features of the stages in school. Actually, the national education policy has one new thing included compared to the other policies. Earlier, our education, schooling, started at the age of 6. Now, it considers from the age of 3 plus. So, already they have divided into various stages. The foundational stage, it is nursery, kindergarten 1, kindergarten 2, then class 1, standard 2. This is foundational stage. At this stage, there will be only play, activity-based learning. Another important thing, that is pedagogy, that is the technique of early childhood care and education. Mainly cleanliness, hygiene, public hygiene, our ethics, our mannerism, good behavior. All these are at these foundational stages till class 2. Then comes the preparatory stage. The preparatory stage is of class 3, 4 and 5. So gradual transformation into from play-based learning to more formal classroom learning. Here is the transition from play learning to classroom learning, where some subjects may be included like physical education, mathematics, language and science, and emphasis on reading, writing and speaking. This should be very important in the class 3, 4 and 5. In the middle stage, that is class 6, 7, 8, it should be subject oriented and some more things are to be added in the form of vocational training, in the form of subjects like social science and humanities, a more rigorous treatment just show the slide, on mathematics, arts, social science, humanity. Along with that, at this middle stage, we have to develop not only the psycho, we have to develop the motor skill also. That is, vocational education is a must. The national education policy stress on vocational education like carpentry, electrical, then metal work, pottery, gardening, all these things. So this part is middle stage. Now we come to high school stage. That is the secondary level. Secondary level is class 9, 10, 11 and 12. For the school like us, so we have these 4 stages. Beyond that, it will go move towards the college level. So in this secondary level, we break it into 2 types. For classes 9th and 10th, we simplify it as secondary. And for classes 11, 12, we call it senior secondary. The CBSE terms it like that. Okay, the next. So, actually, one more answer. In the high school stage, 4 years, we are multidisciplinary study, greater depth, critical thinking, greater attention to life aspiration, greater flexibility and students' choice, very important. Students' choice. I've told about customized education. This should be there. Exposure to more subject and enable greater flexibility. More frequent assessment, not examination of modules. Okay. Achha, let me say, in this foundational stage, there is the concept of early childhood and education, that is ECC, early childhood and education, care and education. So at the early childhood, care should be given to the hygiene, to the values, to the good behaviors, all these things. Okay, early childhood is finished. Now, come to the mission. So, what is the mission at the foundational stage? The mission is very clear. It focuses on reading, writing, and mathematics. The 3 R's of Gandhiji, you can see. And there is 3-month play school, play-based school. And there is learning from the library, the different, I should say, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, and other books, the holy books and all. These are the things which should come during this foundational stage. And accordingly, skills to be developed. Now, one of the main aspect of this national education policy is that age-old problem of dropout. We have to bring the students to the school instead of seeing a lot of dropouts. To bring children back to school and prevent children dropping out, the following steps to be taken. So we have to provide regular trained teacher at each stage, special care to be taken to ensure no school remain deficient in infrastructure support. This is very important. The school should support from infrastructure side, and there should be universal participation. That means it talks of inclusive education. There should be different types of learners. There should be different types of learners. Slow learner, fast learner, learner with disabilities. So everything, universal participation. By carefully we have to see the child one by one. Then we have to take help of the community also. Partnership, expertise. Sometimes we have to bring experts from outside to generate skills in the children. Then we have to bring counselors for channelizing them in a proper way. Scope of education will broaden to facilitate multiple pathways to learning involving formal and informal. So it talks of the opportunity to be given to the child to take some internship. The school should encourage. Suppose a child during the summer vacation or any lighter part of the year when free from any heavy activities of the school, he can take small courses of machine learning, and he can be skilled along with his formal education. This is very important. And he can do such through open distance learning, through National Institute of Open Schooling and State Open Schooling, because they have the infrastructure and they can use it along with the formal laws. Okay. Then it highlights, highlight of the pedagogical structure, the teaching part. It should be competency-based education. Integration of subjects, often in my school also I say this. There is no strict compartment between two subjects. In fact, all the subjects are interlinked. A child must be able to link each and every subject for the holistic growth. So, you have to integrate sports also. Sports integrated, storytelling based pedagogy among us, a standard pedagogy for competency, to develop some competency. Integration of subjects, development of scientific temper. This is very important. Today, the schools are not having proper scientific temper. So, in that case, you have to inculcate the value, not only value, constitutional value, the value of non-violence, the value of truth. Often I say to the students, for a long time back, that students who really want to practice science should never tell a lie. So, honesty is the basis of science. If a scientist becomes dishonest, then science is not done. So, it is very important for truth, honesty, peace. If I use the atom bomb for destroying a country, it is not science. I have to use the atom bomb to solve the energy crisis. I have to use the nuclear power to solve the energy crisis. There are other things like emphasis on digital library. Nowadays, you know, that in fact we have the digital library in where you can use the net learning, promotion of multilingual teaching. This is very important. That is, state to enter into bilateral agreement with nearby states to hire language teachers. As you know, India has many languages. So that development should take place. Now, the best part of this National Education Policy 2020 is to develop or to encourage 21st century skills in the classroom. It's a well-known fact today in India. There are many graduates, there are many educated people, there are many postgraduates, or they are PhD holders, but they are unemployed. Why? They fail to develop any skill in them. Okay, sir, that slide. I'll just see. See, it should have the skills of collaboration. You have to study in groups with a common goal. Digital literacy. You should have the literacy. Artificial intelligence. You must be able to learn how to tackle with all the computer-based learning, problem solving, communication, critical thinking, creativity. You must, the National Education Policy says that a child should have divergent thinking, health and fitness. In today, what we have observed in the last 2 decades or more, that health part was neglected, and that has to be taken under consideration. I have to iterate the words of Swami Vivekananda, who said that a healthy mind exists in a healthy body. So we have to be physically very strong. Emphasis on mental health, on physical health, not only on the learning outcomes, social responsibility. We live in a society, we must have some responsibility. We must come to the need of each other. We have to address to the issues which are come up in in and around us, ethics, equity, gender biasness should be avoided. The national education policy says that there should be no gender biasness. It has to be done away with. In today's world, not only boys and girls, transgenders are also taken under consideration and recognition, and they are doing very well in various fields. Scientific tempers should be developed by making models, by attending seminars, by participating in science fairs. So these are the key for developing the 21st century skill. If your child has to pass out and has to be employed, he requires all these qualities. So, introduction of contemporary subjects. Today's world requires artificial intelligence. It requires holistic health, all-round health, and data science. That is machine learning. Regarding artificial organic living, we should have the concept that this world not only should be fit for us, it should be fit for the future generation. That is more important. Whatever actions we do, it should make a better future, not destroy, or should not be contemporary. Holistic health, design thinking, okay then. Year-long, there should be a year-long course during grade 6 and 8. That is, you have to develop certain vocational skill. Another vision of the National Education Policy 2020 says that our so-called learning of in the academic front should come nearer to the vocational subjects. The distance between vocational and non-vocational should come near, and it should be decided by the states and local community as mapped by local skilling needs. So we have to do it. So gardening, you can see pot making, pottery, crafts. Emphasis on mathematics and computational thinking. It is well known that if the people of the country has high mathematical and computational skill, there will be no tremendous upliftment of the nation. A way of living, use of a variety of innovative methods, use of puzzles, coding, decoding, games to make mathematical thinking enjoyable and engaging. So learning should be a joyful learning. And there should be 10 days bagless studies for class 6, 7, 8. That means the student has to come without bags. Whole day he will be busy with different activity, vocational subjects should be introduced, and with those activity he should spend the whole day. Already we are in a process. Internship opportunities should be given, as I told earlier, and vocational course through open and distance learning. And we are thinking, the National Education Policy members are thinking by 2025, 50% of our learners will be exposed to vocational education. That's the need of the hour. We need to generate employment. We need to enhance the human resource. So another thing, now it focuses the knowledge of India. It has been found when India was ruled by the British people, the education, the thoughts, all encompassed the colonial rule. We were focused towards Britain. Now is the high time when we focus towards India, its cultural heritage, its ancient learnings. So learnings also should be higher in the new education policy from our ancient people, ancient educationists. So aspiration, future aspiration with regard to education, health, environment. So there should be also a focus on natural therapy, that is homeopathy and all. And they should be shown videos of luminaries of India like Gautam Buddha, the great educationist. Okay, or not very much far away, you can see Srinivas Ramanujan, a natural thinker, a natural mathematician. So students have to visit various different states as a part of cultural exchange programs. Now, health education, this is the key point. Training in health, including preventive health, mental health and well-being, very important. Students are depressed. Today they are very quickly, they take decisions. They crumble in time of crisis. So that has to be addressed. Nutrition, nowadays the food which the young generations are taking will not, they are not providing all the nutrients which is needed. Then detrimental and damage effective, this is very important, of alcohol, effects of alcohol, tobacco and other drugs. So this is a major concern. So this education should come from right from the foundational stage. Leveraging the power of multilingualism. That means you have to understand today, in your working field, when you turn into an adult, dear parents, you require to have the multilinguistic skill. If you wanted to be successful in your life, you have to keep on increasing the different learnings of different languages, which can easily help you to move from one part of the country or to different nations. So this is very important. And sometimes subjects like science and mathematics become cumbersome when a teacher is trying to teach in a foreign language. So National Education Policy 2020 has said that if instruction in local language, the CBSE think tank NCERT has also said that it will provide the main theories in regional languages also. So for better learning, our learning outcomes should be good. The languages of India, if one project activity should be given, it has already started. We need to know the culture, the language, the habits, the traditions of different corners of our nation. So next. Curriculum framework for school education, CBSE. The CBSE tries to make a new assessment system also, and based on the principles, books will be available at different regional languages. It will contain essential core material and deemed important on a national level. Another important point now here, it says in the National Education Policy 20 that the schools and teachers will have choice in textbooks they employ from amongst the set of textbooks that contain requisite national and local materials. So from now onwards, learning cannot be fixed to a single book. You can use various books. Transforming assessment for students' development. This is very important. Just see, this is why I am addressing to the parents and teachers. Our assessment It's not that exam, we check our copies and give you the marks. Shift from rote memorization skill to formative. That means when the child is learning, more stress is given to unit test, class test, is more competency assistant. It is the whole year's assessment. Not only 1 year, 2 years. This policy says that there will be exam. There will be no exam in 3 and there will be exam only in class 3, 5, 8 and 10 and 12. That is board exam. 10 and 12 is board exam and annual exam will be for class 3, 5 and 8. And in other classes there will be just a record. This is very important. So it will be formative. Promote learning and development of students. Test higher order skills and such as analysis, critical thinking, conceptual. This is very important. We have to be fundamentally very strong. Today's students are fundamentally very weak. Assessment for learning, optimize learning and develop the development of all students. This will be underlying principle for assessment at all levels. Okay, it is now not single child. The school's assessment, the school's output is the measure of the school, not the child's output. Very important. So cumulative effect. Okay, next. So there will be exam as I told you. There is exam in grade 3, 5. You can see it nicely. There will be exam in grade 3, 5, grade 8, grade 10. Grade means the class. And in class 12. Remaining, it's a formative stage. You have to develop and develop. Improvement. Core concepts, knowledge from national curriculum. Regarding guidelines for assessment. Guidelines for. Regarding assessment, redesigning, just before that. Redesigning. Here there will be peer assessment. It started few years back also we did this. The CBSE is ahead. I should say it is CCE revisited. Earlier we used to give you a report card which had all the scholastic and the non-scholastic part. So exactly this thing has been again forwarded in the national education policy. So there will be self-assessment, peer assessment, there will be teachers assessment and in some places in the formative state, the parent assessment will be also there. The parents can also assess their child. They can also, and it will be noted. And the guidelines will be prepared accordingly by the NCERT. There will be transformation in the assessment system 2022-23. As per the national education system, the CBSE is trying to make, the NCERT is to make a report card, the assessment, by 2022-23. That is next academic session. 21-22, 22-23. So this year we are trying to get in to align with the national curriculum framework 2020-2021. Now national assessment for Center for School Education. So this has no about shifting the assessment pattern to become an instrument for sharing the best practices between school board. We have done it. Best practices. We can share. Two schools can share their best practices in various fields. Now regarding teachers, now we have to do all these things which I was telling will be possible. The main instrument are the most dignified part, the most important part of the education policy to come into action or to be successful is by the efficiency of the teacher. It is teaching for teaching's sake. It is learning for learning's sake. A child, as I told you in customized learning, the child will be happy to learn. The child will get interest to learn. The child will develop empathy, sympathy, and the respect for its culture, for the nation, and not only the self-assessment but also for the entire society. So for those who have completed this, especially teachers, you can see a focus has been given to 4-year integrated B.Ed course. So today teachers cannot become teacher from under this policy, cannot become teachers by chance. In the last 2-3 decades we saw many teachers, I am bound to say I myself is a teacher first, then a principal. So we have found teachers, many teachers are there who came by chance. So no, same like if I want to be a doctor, I have to do MBBS. If I want to become an engineer, I have to do 4 years integrated course in engineering. Then only I'll get BE degree. Same way, a teacher, if I want to become a teacher, it will be my choice. I have to spend 4 years to get the minimum skills required for bringing out this National Education Policy 2020. So that is very important. With that, in-service training, regular updating of the principal and the teachers. These are already done by the CBSE. It is said, how good is the teacher, will the student. If the teacher is poor, the student's learning will be also poor. So teachers' upgradation is very important. So teachers and teachers' education, NEP, my teachers will go through it hopefully. That is the teachers' part. And professional development should take place at every instant. We have to support the gifted child. We have to support the children who are with special needs. And we have to teach an individual, not a class. And there will be a shift. That is, education is the greatest, it should be equitable. Equitable means it is the instrument which will make people equal. So education is the single greatest tool for achieving social justice and equity, which is very important in today's world. The National Education Policy tries to narrow the breach between gender, social category, different gaps are there at all levels of school education. Let me read out. Inclusive, good quality education is the foundation for dynamic and equitable society where there will be no distinction, no caste distinction, no poor and rich, no disabilities. Already we have started with the concept, children with differently abled, they are able, not disabled. The word disabled is wiped off. The word in the assessment fail is already done away with, needs improvement. So you have to understand. So this word is said by Desmond Tutu. So focus on socially, economically disadvantaged group. This is very important. Socio-cultural, like the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC, minorities, sometimes they are really in need. And we see them with different eye. That has to be removed. Gender identity, particularly female and transgender individual, it still happens. We need the POSCOs and all, protection of our child. And geographical identities, there are certain students from small village, the exposure is very less, small towns and aspirational district. Disabilities include learning disabilities. Some may be a very slow learner. So we have to focus. Socio-economic conditions, some are migrant families, some are having very low income, some are in very dangerous, vulnerable situation, victims of child of victims of trafficking, orphans, including child beggars in urban areas and the urban poor. So it takes under consideration. So that is called equitable and inclusive education. So we move on. Now the CBSE initiatives, as I told you, let me wind up. the CBSE is one step ahead. It has already started incorporating this national education policy. As you know, the Central Board of Secondary Education comes under the Ministry of Human Resource, which is directly under the central government. So it is his duty and responsibility to garner, to move the education in a very right way. I hope these changes will take place slowly. This unrest has to be removed. Once again, let me reiterate, education has to be more flexible. Education has to take under consideration the old traditions, our ancient ways of teaching and learning. In continuum with those, we have this national education policy has come up. It's very important. We have to understand that the major educationists all over the world, India finds a big place, a huge place. Today I am proud to be an Indian. Being a teacher, I belong to a land of plenty of teachers. The last teacher I should mention, the world teacher APJ Abdul Kalam. We have seen that he died while addressing a seminar in Shillong. So he was totally dedicated for the student community. So today's teachers especially has a very, very important role to play, as well as the parents. As we know, the National Education Policy says PTM should be encouraged, parents teachers meeting. Already schools are doing it, and it should be more. And the parents should always have a thinking that the child is unique, the child is having more talents inside him which may not be explorable. It is the duty of the teacher to take it out. In the words of Gandhiji, education is to draw the best of the body sometimes, that is those who are good sportsmen, mind, those who are academics, and spirit, those who are very religious. In the sense, they have their way of living in a very pure manner. So that is very important for a society to run. In a society, we require holy people. In a society, we require who are really mentally ahead. So they are the mind. We require good academics. We require good scientists which can uplift the nation by discovering, inventing more and more in various fields. And we require strong people who can not only protect our country but also bring glamour in the form of sports, in the form of various events of sports in games. So that is also a pride. In today's world, warfare is not only with guns. Warfare is also in a football field. Warfare is also in a cricket field. Warfare is also in a basketball court. So this is very important, and the CBSE has taken initiatives where it tries to recognize the capacities which is present in different children. So transforming assessment, competency-based test for classes 1 to 5, CBSE I mentioned. Just proceed. Here you will find next stage, every stage assessment in class 3 and 5. So you will have a holistic report card. Once again I am showing you, excuse me, holistic report card for CBSE is being prepared. It will come 500 competency-based test items from 1 to 5 related to measurement of each learning outcomes. It are been prepared. So you need not worry. Our NCERT is trying to make test items which will easily bring out the learning competency from them. A manual on assessment for and of learning be prepared. Now for the teachers, I have told there will be capacity building programs, in-service trainings throughout the year, art and sport education. Art and sport integrated mathematics and Hindi at 2 levels. Already the CBSE has started. Math standard and maths basic. So like that for Hindi also. So all these initiatives, in English also, in Sanskrit also. So introduction of 9 vocational courses of 12 hours duration in classes 6, 7, 8. As again I am saying, vocational. Very important. So move. Expectation of from the schools. What do you expect from the schools? So expected. Focus on core essential learning outcomes you require. So how much the child has learned, how much the child could take, how much the child can give the outcomes. It's not like only it will be bookish knowledge. In his practical life, how much he can address to the different problems, to the different issues, to the different conditions at different time. So that is very important part of education. Education teaches us how to lead a good life by facing all the challenges. And it begins from right from childhood at the age of 3. How I can adjust. That is called I have to develop immune system towards all challenges, towards all different difficulties. So COVID, let me speak, has taught us that some of them are the outcomes of the pandemic also. So that is self-hygiene as well as societal hygiene. How the school has to support the child's health and hygiene. How much awareness can be brought in them so that they become transformed into worthy citizen and strong citizen. And transforming teaching strategies or adopt innovative teaching strategies to develop, strengthen and achieve foundation skill by grade 3. They must know some mathematics, some good writing, listening, that is speaking, then mathematics and reading. So focus on reading, writing and learning. And another thing is that learning outcomes and adopt experiential learning. A child will be, learning will be based on practicals first. A student can feel what he is learning. Today, when a child is studying A for apple, it is a matter of great concern. The child may not have seen an apple. Apples do not grow everywhere. Apples grow in Kashmir or some parts of our country. Some of the communities, they didn't see apple. So when I teach them A for apple, the child doesn't get anything. But what happens if I bring an apple and keep it on the table in front of the child, he will learn very quickly. So that is called experiential learning. Integrate subjects. Now no question of arts and science. We have to emphasize all with the same value. Integrate subject and technology to create holistic learning. Integrate the component of digital literacy. Very important today. We have to equip them digitally. They must know how to handle the Android phones. Very important. Scientific temper. They have to have that curiosity, that temperament, that way of thinking divergently. Computational skill, how to compute. Plan lesson grounded in real life situation. And multilingualism, this is for the teachers. Identify. The work of the teacher is to identify and nurture gifted students and plan for the children with special need, CWSN, children with special need, has to be identified and accordingly monitored. And sets SED means socially, economically disadvantaged group. Very major point. Now, bringing change in the assessment pattern, focus more on assessment. Focus more on assessment and for learning. That is very important, not for marks. Carry out holistic, 360-degree, holistic of the student, cognitive, affective, psychomotor. Not only intelligence, it should be sympathy, empathy, development of emotion, socially they should be quick, and physically they should be strong, psychomotor. Psycho is the brain part, psycho, and motor is our hand-on skills. So, plan to track learning of each child, very important. So, this is very important. What we do already, Royal Academy tries to track the learning of each child. Adopt holistic educational approach by removing hard separation between arts and science. So this is already a known fact to us that the CBSE in class 12 mark sheet doesn't mention you're an art student or a science student or a commerce student. So very unique. So very few schools try to understand all these things. I'm bound to say. They don't know. So the National Education Policy is in tune with the Royal Academy. A little more addition is needed, and that is by the cooperation of teachers, parents. If you can cooperate with us, if you can add to the information regarding the child, I think we can bring fruitful to the development of the child. So, as mentioned, there will be backless day. We do it. Now also we do it in the form of various occasions. We tell the students to come without bag. So full of activity on vocational subject, popularize and offer vocational courses, enable access to retention. We have to keep, we don't want to lose our children. So that is very important. So involve all stakeholders in the child and parents, local administration. We always try to do it and we have to do it. Maintain inclusive and clean infrastructure, very important. See, these are the that is COVID, post-COVID outcomes. See, maintain inclusive and clean infrastructure. Monitor health status of children through periodic health checkup. Very important. We need now. We are forced. There may be schools which are not aware of all these facts. There are schools which do not consider sanitation. There are schools who doesn't think of AquaGuard water or UV filter water. But we understood it long time back. These are very essential. So I hope you have understood the national policy. The remaining deals with us, ensure capacity building at all levels. So it is for capacity building programs for teachers, for heads, and they are also teaching Indian language, and our teaching should shift from rote memorization to inquiry based, critical thinking, cognitive, as I am saying again and again. So engage with parents and community, that is very important. The triangle is there. In that triangle, the parents, the three corner points, the vertices, parents, teachers, and in focus are the children. That is the student. So thank you and happy learning.
So thank you, sir,
Thank you.
for inviting us for the International Education Policy 2020, and we are trying to know the main point of this national education.
Thank you. Thank you.
From
Actually, I tried to bring out what is national education policy, some things that it is new education policy. Can they be heard? What I am saying. Actually, many of us think it is NEP means new education policy, nothing of that time. Education is a process. It started since the dawn of civilization. It started millions of years ago, from the time people came into this world, and it's going on. The only thing is the world has to be there because today we are a nation. Earlier we were a colony. Before that we did not have an identity. Today we are a nation. So the national word should be there. Education is always there. And the policies keep changing. This is 2020. Maybe after more 4 years or 5 years there will be another policy. So am I clear? Dear parents and teachers, anything you want to say? Anyone to raise any question? Okay, then thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Oh.
Thank you,
You
sir.
are audible.
Okay, thank you. Huh?
Between I was audible.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you. So now you can leave the session. Once again, thanks to each and every participants of this webinar. I think it
Thank you,
was
sir.
very much fruitful to you. Thank you. So we end here.
और hero attendance 38 actually আমরা কেন করছি এটা অনেকের মধ্যে